In this part 5, I want to go over some of the stuff that I want to do on this channel in the future. I thought that I would give you an idea of long-range plans of some shows that I want to do. So one of the shows that I want to do is just what I just now told you in the periodicals, is I want to do a full review on the case for Trump. I may do one on the Scalia book, but the case for Trump, I'd like to do it chapter by chapter if I can. We'll see how that goes. I'll have to do some production on that. So all of this stuff that I'm talking about requires a larger level of production and more time to do the show. So that's why I can't really tell you exactly when they'll come out. But they're things that I would like to do in the future. I bought a book on General Patton, and it's something I want to get to. General Patton is a figure that from history that I greatly admire, and I like his tactics. And I happen to know two men who met General Patton. One of them knew him personally and worked under him as a junior officer, and then the other one was an enlisted man. That both of these gentlemen are dead now, but one of the fellows was an enlisted man and happened to see Patton because he fought for Patton in North Africa. The other one was an officer, a retired colonel, and he worked directly for General Patton. And he gave me a little bit of insight to General Patton as well. But that's something that I'd like to cover. I would like to do either an episode or an entire series of episodes on slavery, probably a series of episodes, just like with the case for Trump. Slavery is an extremely interesting industry to me. And I say industry because I don't approach slavery from the point of view of a moral or immoral act. That's up to each individual to decide on their own. Obviously, in today's world, they consider it to be immoral and so forth and so on. The fact is, it was a vital industry that propelled the empires forward, propelled personal wealth forward. It was an integral part of our society, not just our society, but societies going all the way back to ancient Greece and beyond, to Mesopotamia. Slavery is an institution, an industry that is fascinating to me. And I've got a great book on that, and the book is like this thick, and so it's going to take a while to get through that. And there's many different forms of slavery. That is one of the subjects that I want to cover. Game of Thrones. I'm probably going to be bringing up Game of Thrones. I'm not going to, like I said before, I'm not going to analyze Game of Thrones like some of the channels that are totally dedicated to Game of Thrones. Those channels, like Emergency Awesome, are fantastic, and I couldn't even begin to do the kind of job that they do because they concentrate specifically on the Game of Thrones, on every little aspect. Me, I'm looking at Game of Thrones both for the history and the comparative history that it touches on, but also I'm looking at key points that are important to me that I'll mention in the future. So Game of Thrones is one of those things that I'll definitely be going back to from time to time. Andrew Jackson. I want to do an analysis of Andrew Jackson, Harry Truman, and Theodore Roosevelt to Donald Trump, because there are aspects of each of those presidencies that I believe show up in Donald Trump. Those are three presidents that I respect and admire. There are aspects of each of their presidencies, obviously, that I don't completely agree with, regardless of what party they were associated with. The Democrats then are not the Democrats now. The Republicans then are not the Republicans now. These Republicans are simply, the Republicans and the Democrats are simply names that shift back and forth, and they happen to use the same animal over time. But anyway, Plato's Republic. Plato's Republic is something that should be taught in our schools. And I mean, Plato's Republic should be analyzed for an entire semester or an entire year of every high school kid's life. There should be a specific course just on Plato's Republic and another on Aristotle's ethics. Aristotle and Plato are, in my opinion, the bedrock of our Western empire, of our Western frame of thought. Every student should be well-versed on Plato and Aristotle, and there's so many others too. Boethius. Boethius is one that used to be taught in schools 100 years ago and before, all the way back to the Renaissance. Boethius, Constellation of Philosophy. Constellation of Philosophy by Boethius just before he was executed is an excellent read, and every student should be familiar with Boethius. Machiavelli, Dante, those are all great writers. The classics are something that every high school student, every college student should be well versed in, or they really don't deserve the credentials of a high school diploma or a college degree. That is my opinion. And I also want to do a series of lectures on virtue and fortune. I've studied virtue and fortune thoroughly. I want to cover the 4 cardinal virtues and the 3 heavenly virtues, and how they come together and how they balance each other out, and how every man should try his best to instill virtue in his life. Fortune is the balance of the scales. You must do virtue. You must commit yourself to virtue and accept fortune, for good or ill. And I'm going to cover that in much more detail. Machiavelli talks a lot about the balance of virtue and fortune. I'm going to cover that. That's going to be several episodes, several series of episodes on that. That's going to be extremely interesting. I'm going to enjoy doing it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I think you'll find it beneficial. That's kind of a taste of what I want to do on this channel over time. So if you like that kind of stuff, I strongly suggest you subscribe to the channel. And as all YouTubers say, hit the like button. I don't think it's necessary to constantly remind people to hit the like button. I always hit the like button on something that I watch simply as a form of payment for watching it, because it helps the ratings of that channel. Obviously, subscribing and watching the whole channel or the whole show helps. Come back and check it out, and check out Barb Wire Strategy, where you get to hear an ordinary man's extraordinary thoughts. Thank you, and good night.